Hi, I'm Leon James. I'm the CTO at Wagonex, and Wagonex is the premium provider of car subscription services in the UK, and also provide car subscription software to any company that wants to launch their own car subscription service. So I've got quite a varied background. Although I've been in tech a long time now, 20 years or so, I trained as an aeronautical engineer, and then went on to become a teacher in further education college. Had a brief segue into health and safety, and I was a health and safety advisor before having my first break in technology. I'd actually learned to code in university. I spent quite a few years as a software engineer, then leading teams, senior and then lead developer, and also headed up a design team. So I had quite a broad experience. Worked with Confused.com back in the early days, and then went on to work more in a senior management capacity. Since then, over the last 13 years, I've worked with directly with 10 or more startups, either on a consultancy or fractional CTO basis, or on a permanent full-time basis. And additionally, as part of a venture builder, I've worked with 30 plus startups. So overall, in the last 10 or 13 years, I've got experience of working with north of 40 startups. So I've sort of worked myself into the position of a bit of a startup specialist CTO. So when Wagonex were looking to bring in a permanent CTO on the back of an investment, I'd worked with them before on a consultancy basis, so I was a good candidate to come in and help them expand the team. So at the moment, we've got a small core team, which is a cross-functional team which comprises product, design, UX, delivery management, and software development, of course. We work really closely across the business. It's a small, we're a small company, and we work really closely with the business, always looking to deliver value as quickly as we can. We're still a fairly early stage business, so we need to get value out there for our business as quickly as possible, and as such we make use of agile software methodologies, internally defined but fairly standard. The team's bolstered on occasion with some external resource. We've got a couple of trusted partners that we work with. Originally the entire team was outsourced, so we've still got relationships with the people who provided resource then. In terms of hiring, I've done a lot of team building over the years. I've probably built 5 or 6 teams from scratch, and obviously the technology and the domain's different, but I'm always looking for a combination of a cultural fit, outlook and approach to work, and technical capability, of course. And we try and interview and test against all of those things. So I'm not interested necessarily in a checklist of experience, so you don't have to have done this, and this. I'm looking for some evidence that you've got the potential to fulfill the tasks, the technical tasks that are likely to come your way, but also to thrive in the specific challenges of working in a startup, which are, in themselves, it's quite a different environment. It's not necessarily just about the technical ability to do the job. Having worked as a software developer, one of the most important things for fostering innovation and allowing your team to push, and something that I've learned from personal experience, is ensuring that you create a safe environment to fail. You want people to feel that they can experiment and push themselves, and that they're not going to be blamed for any mistakes that they make. And a big part of that is making sure that your processes and your ways of working are set up so that any mistakes, anything that goes wrong there's no chance of it ever going into live. And that if by chance something goes into production that isn't supposed to, it's not the individual that's at blame, it's the processes. So it's a shared, we share the responsibility for the processes, so we share that failure. And ultimately it's down to me to make sure that those processes are correct, and therefore if something goes wrong and goes into live, it's my responsibility. So really looking for that making sure that there's no blame culture at all. I've been working in technology in South Wales for over 20 years, and I think we're really lucky in Wales that the fintech sector has been driven just as much by strong female leaders as it's been driven by strong male leaders. And that's been a really key part of the success of fintech in this area, and certainly been a part of the success of the businesses that I've been involved in. I recognise that that breaks down a little when you start looking at purely technical roles and technical leadership roles. I've been lucky enough to work with some exceptional female software developers, architects, data scientists, but there's no getting away from the fact that there is a massive disparity between the numbers of male technologists to female technologists. And there's some great organisations out there doing some fantastic work to break down those barriers, like Code Girls First, really fantastic, along with others. But I think that it comes down to girls not being as interested necessarily, or being pushed towards STEM subjects early on in their schooling career and education, and not just STEM subjects. Girls tend to be better at STEM subjects, in fact, but it's showing them that not only are STEM subjects interesting, but the application of those STEM subjects in the field of software development is very much seen as a male-dominated, or as a male career choice, and I think those barriers need to be broken down at an earlier stage. I've got a big laundry list of startups that I could talk about, and quite often, to be honest, you learn more from the failures than the successes. It's all part of the startup game. So I've had some failures and some successes, and yeah, it's more fun to talk about the successes, but sometimes it's quite fun to talk about the failures. But the question was around the successes, so I'll pick a few and specifics that I've taken from those. One of my biggest successes, I suppose, would have been my involvement with Sonovate. Sonovate's a bit of a sleeping success story, or an underrated success story in South Wales. It's a large recruitment finance company driven very heavily by the technology, that have just funded, they've just reached £5 billion of funding in the market. So it's based in Cardiff and London, and definitely not talked about enough in this area. But I was brought on essentially in a technical co-founder role to set the strategy, build out a team, and was really instrumental in defining how product and technology sat within that business, and cementing the importance of technology to deliver the vision of the founders. And obviously that's continued since I've moved on, and they've gone from strength to strength. Another success was my involvement with a venture builder called Enlightening, based in London. We had a team that was spread across India, Poland, and various parts of the UK. And we had some great success. I went in there to help them grow out that tech function and the tech team, and standardise the approach. And we had some great success in systemising, if you like, the way that we delivered new platforms, new systems, and was involved in the launch of, directly within the launch of, five, 6 or 7 startups over a 2-year period, and indirectly involved in sort of the launch of 30 plus startups, which is quite the thrill ride. And finally, with Wagonex, obviously my current role, securing the first ever investment from Admiral Pioneer, and what I believe to be the first investment that the Admiral Group has made that wasn't an acquisition. So that as part of the Wagonex team, that's been a particular highlight, and you know, growing on from the success of that raise and building the team out, it's been great. The first thing I would say to any business that is going or intending or likely to rely on technology in any way as part of their strategy or their vision is to be really cautious around outsourcing all of your technical thinking and capability. You need to have access to somebody who is going to help define a technical strategy which delivers against your vision as a company. The ability to code and deliver software and build a platform doesn't translate in the ability to formulate and implement an effective technical strategy. And if you get it wrong early, you can very easily fall foul. So if you haven't got a technical co-founder, think very strongly about buying in that expertise, whether it's a consultancy, fractional CTO, or an agency that provides that level of thinking along with build. Of course, once you have that person, those people in place, you shouldn't worry about bringing your team in-house immediately. There's no quicker way to shorten your runway than to bring in lots of expensive technical resource. And as long as you've got somebody who knows how to manage that resource, who knows how to make technical decisions, and who knows how to implement a longer term technical strategy, you should feel comfort in making use of external resource to build out your MVP, to prove your prove the business model, to prove the product. Once that's done, however, and the product is washing its face, you've proven that it's a viable business model, you should look to bring that, in-house, that expertise in-house, because that's going to form a key part of the value of your business moving forward. The CTO is a funny role, and it's got it's defined differently quite often by different people, but the definition that I work to and I've always worked to is that the CTO is it's a board level position. It's a senior management position. It's not senior architect level with who's reporting into the senior management team. It's a member of that team. And with that in mind, I think that what makes a good CTO is somebody who successfully managed to recognize that they are no longer an engineer. They need to move away from that engineering mindset and straddle the worlds of engineering and the commercial side of the business. The recognition that your value to a business is not your technical expertise anymore is something that comes difficult. It comes as a bit of a difficult step to a lot of aspiring CTOs, but it's a really important point. Yes, you need to retain a level of technical capability, but you shouldn't be jumping into the code. You shouldn't be jumping in to fix issues. That's not where your value lies.